Welcome to another episode of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, and today we are looking at the Phase 2 of the Tank Takedown Raid, where I found a somewhat useful lineup that gets me 1.5 million in this round. This is from under-geared droids and under-modded droids, I guess, and this came out pretty successful, and I'm looking forward to trying this out with my IG-86 with better mods, with my HK-47 geared up with better mods, and with Jawa Engineer and Chief Nebit with better mods. The only person who was actually geared properly and modded properly was my IG-88 because I actually use them in Arena. So what we're going to do today is, one, I'm going to talk about what I found pretty successful for this Phase 2 Phase 2 part of the raid, and I put quotes around successful because there's a lot of problems going on. And then bouncing off that last point, what we're going to do is kind of come before you as a very concerned citizen of our video game and talk about all the concerns that our community is having in regards to this raid, because it is a lot of troubles happening, and I'm hoping we can get that resolved. But we'll go ahead and talk about that at the very end. First off, I want to give you tips. If you have a droid lineup, you are pretty solid right now. So what I'm doing in this Phase 2, first off, when I got into this Phase 2, I really had no idea what was going on. I was just kind of shooting along. And then by accident, I actually destroyed all the turrets by accident without even knowing, because I was just using a lot of AoE attacks. And then all of a sudden the tank went down, and then it kind of clicked that this is the moment where this is like the Rancor. When you get the gate down, the tank just sits still, and you can just pour out lots of damage on them until they get back up and they start attacking once more. And what I found here is that you really need some powerful AoE characters, and droids seem to fit the bill. One, because Jawa Engineer is constantly speeding them up, and then two, if you have Chief Nebit on your side, anytime that he uses his basic, his taunt ability, or what's normally a triple attack turns into a quadruple attack, it always has someone assist. And the same thing with Jawa Engineer. When you roll a thermal detonator, or you heal, or you do the speed up, someone is going to assist off your ability. When you have IG-88 and IG-86, you have a good chance of putting out some really big damage. IG-88 sometimes gets 17,000, 10,000 just off of an assist, and it does a lot of great work. So here's the strategy that I've been using. Assuming, let's say you have a droid lineup or a very powerful AoE lineup, I've seen people do a whole Biggs and Wedge lineup, and that seems to be pretty successful. It's usually like Biggs, Wedge, Lando, those really big AoE characters that can knock out the turrets at once. That also will work here. So first priority is you want to get that top turret down. That very top turret is very deadly. I believe it's the slowest moving turret out of all of them. But the problem is, if that turret goes, it can destroy one of your characters in one giant hit. So you want to make sure you avoid that at all costs. It's very similar to the Rancor's eating ability, where he eats someone. But this you can at least control. You can go a whole game without that turret going off on you. Of course, though, if you see the left and right turrets about to have their turn, and you see that top turret still has a long way to go, definitely take that out just so you can get away from all that additional damage that the tank will get on you, and then go back to that top turret. And once you get the top turret down, it all just comes down to the left or right, and whether or not you should, which one you should go first is totally up to the situation you're in. But what I found is that you just want to get those turrets out, and once those turrets are out, the tank falls, and you can start getting a lot of damage. And when you have Jawa Engineer throwing thermal detonators, or when you have Chief Nebit doing his last ability, which normally does 3 attacks, but since he's a Jawa, if he does that, he gets pretty much 4 attacks out. He gets him, a droid, possibly Jawa Engineer. So it becomes it's crazy. It reminds me of General Kenobi, where when all of his allies are buffed up, he calls everyone to assist, it's a lot of fun to see. So it's kind of cool to see droids are being very useful in this particular phase. As I said, I got about 1.8 million if I'm correct. And it works great. I get a lot of damage out, and I've noticed that I tried this again later on with no Chief Nebit, and then I put General Grievous in, which, as you guys know, I have him at 6 stars. Next week, I'll finally have him at 7 stars. After about, I've been farming him since May. I'm finally going to give him the 7 stars, and hopefully we can do another kind of a follow-up review, because I did my in-depth review on him before level 85 came around. Things changed with him, so we'll see later on if he got better with the update that happened. But coming back to topic here, when I replaced Chief Nebit and I put General Grievous in, and I put correct mods and gear and everyone, making sure they're on top of the line, I noticed I only got half of the damage. And I think the reason why is because without Chief Nebit, one, you're not getting that quadruple attack, or sometimes three, 4, or 5 people are going to assist off that ability in this raid. Without him, you're not getting those extra bonus attacks. And another thing that's great is if you're running droids, you definitely need HK-47, because when you get a critical hit, they gain turn meter. And if you go ahead and get IG-88 to assist off a Jawa, and they get a critical hit, he's getting a bunch of extra turn meter. So that's why I've noticed that without Chief Neba, it becomes problematic. And then it's also helpful that he grants protection up to his fellow droids and Jawas, and that he also that he also has the taunt, because the taunt does come in handy. With mods, I have him at almost about like 38,000 health, so he's a pretty sturdy guy. So yeah, my recommendation so far, if you want to get a couple million, right now I think I'm the most successful at this phase in my guild here. Yeah, I definitely want HK-47 as lead, IG-86, IG-88. Jawa Engineer, definitely. Without Jawa Engineer, I'm pretty sure this would all fall apart. And then Chief Nebit, I've definitely seen a lot of success, but without him, I got about 800,000, which is definitely a lot lower than 1.7, 1.8 million. Now let's go ahead and talk about the concerns I have. So yeah, there's a strategy to phase 2. It's mainly burst damage, crazy burst damage, trying to get those turrets out right away. However, I've seen a lot of guides on how to beat this thing. The problem is a lot of those guides are designed for people who have huge inventories and very powerful characters. But for people like me who have about 40 7-star characters, not every single one of those 7-star characters are geared up. You only have so many lineups that you can use. But the other problem is that there's so much damage in this raid. It's not that so much health in this raid. And we're gonna talk about the normal tier first. First off, Phase 1, I saw this on Reddit. I'm not 100% sure if the damage is accurate, but it seems like across the community this seems to be pretty accurate, but it's not official information. The Phase 1 has about 33 million HP. That's crazy. The next thing, it gets even better. Phase 2 is 76.5 million. Phase 3 then is 52 million. And then Phase 4 is apparently around 48 million. So that's quite a lot of millions in there. That's definitely way over 100 million something. And when we look at the heroic grade, yeah, the health got diminished, but it's still quite a lot for heroic grade. Just to go through this quickly, Phase 1 has 4.3 million. Phase 2 has 16.5 million. Some people say it's 20 million. Phase 3 is 12 million, and Phase 4 is 12 million. So that is still a lot for heroic grade. And when we tried it, we barely got 3% or something like that into Phase 1, and we had to back out of it and get to the normal one. So at this rate, it's going to take quite a few weeks for us to even beat the normal one. And a lot of other problems kind of fall from that. One is that eventually your tickets to start this raid, it's just you're gonna hit your max way early, and then you're just kind of losing all those additional tickets. Another really big problem is that people have smaller inventories. Some of them are being kicked out of their guild. A lot of people are quitting the game because the content's it's irking people a lot. Another problem is that people are kind of abandoning their guild and merging with other players who are abandoning their guild to form a much stronger guild. Usually at the rank core, you can get away with having some lower team members, but a lot of people are getting the short end of the stick, and then those people who are left behind, there's just no way that they're gonna be able to beat the tier 6 normal raid by themselves if their top end players can barely beat it. So that's a really big problem here. And I think the main cause of action here, or the main thing that's causing the problem, is that the raid reward is just absolutely so good. If you guys didn't see my General Kenobi reveal, he's going to be probably the best character in the game, and he's going to probably end the critical damage meta, and because of all of his amazing abilities. I think that's what's setting people off, because a very small percentage of people have beaten the raid, and props to them for getting that taken care of. That's really amazing that they can get the raid done. I think Team Instinct finished it in 40 minutes after the release, so good props to them. But the problem is people are concerned that if they don't have General Kenobi, they're going to be in huge trouble, because he's just a very good character, and people feel like they'll be left in the dust if they can't get him. And I feel like that too. So I'm not saying let's make this a very easy raid. I don't want that. I don't want this to be like a Rancor raid where you only can use one lineup because we have to make rules because it's too easy. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm actually perfectly fine if a raid lasting a day or whatever, but we need to make it so that every single person can participate. That's one. We maybe add a couple extra tiers, maybe lower the damage, the health a little bit in the game. I don't know, a lot of things we can do to get this addressed. I really hope we do get this addressed, because this is supposed to be a fun update, and right now people are not so happy. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and we'll talk again later. Peace. peace out.